Hello everyone, it's thomasjujube, and welcome to 2022. For anyone new to the channel, I guess it's like tradition at this point for me to begin the new year with a video of some kind reflecting on the year past, looking ahead to the future year, and celebrating the present with a little Q&A with questions from subscribers. So yeah, honestly, in my opinion, despite this past year being kind of weird, it felt really long but also really short at the same time, I think it's been one of the greatest years for Tokusatsu. Going into it, I was really excited to see how Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Super Sentai would celebrate their big anniversaries, and I think all of them really delivered. Kira Major felt like it was years ago, but it did have a strong ending in 2021 before transitioning to the wonderful Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, which will probably go down as one of my favorite seasons of Super Sentai for how it subverts the genre and has really great overarching stories while still managing to just be a bunch of dumb fun every single episode. And most importantly, hi Magine! I had always liked Kamen Rider Saber, but in 2021 I think this show really took off and became a spectacularly enjoyable season of Kamen Rider that I was genuinely sad to see go. Paired with Zenkaiger, I would consider this my favorite year for Toei's superhero time block since my first, honestly, but even then I think I might like this one better. Both of these shows individually mean so much to me, and the fact they got to cross over multiple times to celebrate their anniversaries is just a dream come true. I cannot wait to see Superhero Senki in its entirety. For Ultraman, I don't know, I stopped watching Trigger. But the theme song is a banger, and I think the Destined Crossroad is coming up soon. I'm excited for that. I don't know if 2022 will be able to live up to the excitement I felt in 2021, but I don't think it'll be bad by any means. Famous last words. For Ultraman, I'm really excited about the movies. I'm really interested in seeing what Shin Ultraman is about after like a year of delay. And while it's not Ultraman, it is Ultraman adjacent. I'm really excited for Gridman X Dynazenon, as I am a huge fan of SSSS Gridman after I watched it for the first time last year. Hi Magine! Kamen Rider Revice has really picked up for me in its recent episodes, and I think going into this new year there is a lot of potential for this season. I'm also looking forward to Revice's movie Beyond Generations because Cross Saber and Muteki Gamer are in it. And for Super Sentai, Avataro Sentai Donbrothers looks like it'll be another fun shakeup to the Sentai formula by functioning as a sequel to Zenkaiger. I'm excited to see such a great season live on in a new form, but I'm also really sad that Zenkaiger properly will have to come to an end. But at least before that, Majine's gonna get to sing a character song, yay! Personally, I don't think I'll ever forget 2021. There were still some rough spots thanks to 2020, but this year was genuinely amazing for me, partly due to the toku I just mentioned, partly due to personal things I won't mention, but also because of, well, you guys. The year got off to a great start with me hitting 20,000 subscribers. It's hard to believe that was only last year, but I'm gonna be honest, that isn't really the biggest milestone to me. I mean, it's a big milestone, I still appreciate it, obviously, but like, since the numbers never really mattered that much to me, the more exciting thing this year was like the overall YouTube experience. I started the year by making a Patreon, and I've really loved the community I've been able to create with that, being able to interact with some of you more and share a bit of what goes on behind the scenes, and the support is greatly appreciated. Working to finish 2 rankings weekly was really difficult in the beginning as well, but it was an absolute thrill, and it was even more exciting to get other members of the community involved with my videos for the first time, for me at least. And then fast forward to the end of the year, there was a minor setback with me almost losing the channel. 2 channel strikes thanks to the Revice review kind of killed my motivation, but hey, at least it all got sorted out. This year I just really loved creating for myself and for you guys, and I think the best example of that was ending the year by finally reviewing my favorite season of Tokusatsu. The X8 reviews got so much love and support from you guys, even though I took such a long hiatus, and that just really meant a lot to me, especially regarding the one big thing. Oh, hello. To say I was nervous about a face reveal would be an understatement, but it kind of felt like it was inevitable, especially with all the unboxings I did last year and like the actual literal close calls I had, so I was like, I'll do it on my own terms, and what better time to do it than in the review of my favorite Tokusatsu season and the season that kind of got me into Tokusatsu, like, proper. Anyways, so here I am, and honestly, I'm just really happy that I was able to build a community up to that point to where I guess people think I'm cute. Honestly, I'd say this is the biggest change for the channel going forward. I'm not switching to permanent face cam videos for anyone worried. This version of me is that's still going to be like the more prominent version. That's my little avatar. That will be in more videos than this. It's just for this, I've got some unboxing videos, a lot of unboxing videos actually coming up and planned for later in the year, and pretty much you'll just see my face now in those. That's it. This is going to actually be my 5th year of making videos, which is kind of crazy to think about. And what's even crazier to think about is that by this point, like, people actually recognize my name in, like, the community. It's literally a childhood nickname, and people associate that with a red Muteki gamer obsessed with Zenkai Magine. So my brand is literally my 2 favorite seasons of Tokusatsu, and I think that's really awesome. And I'm just really, it makes me really happy. It means the world to me. And I just thank you guys so much for all the support for, I mean, honestly, all the last 5 years. Like, not even just this last year. For all time. So, now, let's get into some Q&A, and we're not gonna switch back to a screen. I'm right here like this, so might as well do it. If I could choose the next CSM belt or memorial item, what would it be? So memorial item is easy. I would easily pick a memorial Geartlinger. As I've said in a couple of videos, well, I love Zenkaiger, so I would love a Geartlinger anyways, but I would love a memorial Geartlinger because it would have all the background tracks from the show, which I love. It would have, and it would have character quotes from the show, and I would also love the characters, or a character, so I just love to have a weapon. I'd love to have a weapon. I'd love to have a Tokusatsu toy that has those character quotes. So easily that for memorial items. For CSM, so like, it's kind of weird because I would say X8. I even have a CSM X8 video coming out. But like, if an X8 CSM was announced tomorrow, then I would want to buy it, and I don't know if I want to spend that money. Like, I would say X8, but I'd also say like maybe Hibiki, because then Heisei 10 is complete. The first 10 Heisei riders have CSMs, and I'm not going to buy a Hibiki CSM, so I'm just going to be like, cool, all 10 original Heisei riders have CSMs, and that's it. So, maybe a cop-out answer, I don't know. If Magine and your mom were drowning, and you could only save one, where would you and Magine get married? So, the question doesn't ask who I would save, and my mom watches my videos, so I'm just not going to answer that. Where would me and Magine get married? Well, we would get married, / did get married. The church in the second episode of X8. It's an X8 church. So there you go. This next question just says, more rider pot, which I assume is demanding more rider potential videos. But I like to think it's asking for, like, pots of common riders. Yeah, not a question. I just wanted to throw that in there. Do I think Revice will use the bat stamp or have a berserker form? I don't think he's going to use the bat stamp. I would love if he used the bat stamp, though, because presumably, and then there's like been a lot of fan art about it as well, the idea is that Revi would turn into live, but then Vice would have to turn into evil. Just that kind of thing, like, really interests me, that we have that secondary rider is like a pair of 2 riders. So if the main rider took that power set, he would also have to, like, he'd use it in a different way. We'd have like a live and an evil together. Do I think he's going to get a berserker form? Yeah, it seems pretty likely, because he's, you know, T-Rex. T-Rexes go raw, and berserker forms occasionally go raw as well. Rawr. If I was a swordsman in the Sword of Logos, what would be my Seiken element? So if this is asking, like, what if swords already exist, I would be the element of sword, which means cross saber. If it's like if I have to come up with a new element, I would steal magic, and I'd have Maho power. Maybe I'd go with like element of like technology. So, like, a sword that's, like, kind of digital and, like, I don't know, something related. Oh, maybe the blade, it'd be like the Beast Morphers Lightning Collection toys, like the blade's like pixelated. That would be kind of awesome. Favorite Ultraman suit. So, suit-wise, if we're like disregarding form, like the entire idea of a form, because I love the Orb Origin suit. I love the Orb Origin suit, but I more love like the idea of it being the base form. I've talked about in my orb review. I love the idea of it being like the base form, and the orb caliber technically being part of the form is really great as well. But like, if we're talking suits in general, my favorite would also like kind of be a tie between, I think Mebius has like one or two that are like red and gold and are like really hot. Like, literally. My favorite henshin pose. Maybe a bit of a cop-out answer, but, like, I love how X8 and Saber both have, like, different poses for their characters when they henshin. And then in Saber, how all the swordsmen, like, they slash differently. So I kind of love the idea that we have so many different Kamen Riders in each season that each transform, like, have different poses. But I guess, like, maybe if I picked overall, maybe, I think Saber's, like, double slash, I think that's pretty great. It's, like, simple, but really awesome. How would I do a Kamen Rider Magine? So, a few different ways. Main thing is just she gets a gamer driver, and she gets a special pink Muteki Gashat, and she becomes a pink Muteki, but the eyes are, like, her civilian form eyes, or like styled off of that. Why? Because Muteki. Second thing would be she gets the Noroshi and like her own book in that, and she gets like a dragon arm, like the Magine dragon as an arm. But like that would technically make her Kamen Rider Sabla with like a Magine thing, because she's just using her mom's sword to become like a passed down version of Kamen Rider Sabla, kind of like Caliber to Caliber, like father son. That would be like mother daughter. But if she had to get like her own unique gimmick thing, I would use the Sentai gear, or her Sentai gear, and I guess all the Sentai gears, and like I do something with like the belt. Obviously something with the belt because it's a Kamen Rider. She like sticks it, or the gear stick in the belt, and then she like twists it. Or, like she kind of pushes a thing along to twist it, and then she can do the classic Kamen Rider pose, and when she hits a button, the gear spins, because it's a gear, that's what gears do, and then she becomes a Kamen Rider. And then, like, the other Sentai gears would just give her, like, the other Sentai powers, like, different forms, like... And obviously, her rider form, honestly, just keep the Magine, like, normal form, or the normal suit. And maybe the helmet, like, you can make it, like, more Kamen Rider-y. Like, you could give her, like, Ichigo's helmet and then, like, make the eyes green or something. Do I like to watch Gundam, or do I like Gundams? I've never watched a single episode of anything Gundam, and I've also never bought a model kit of anything Gundam. I've helped other people build a Gundam kit. They're giant robots, but I don't know, I've never had an interest in them, really, or the show. Will I ever watch a Gundam show? Probably not. Will I ever buy a Gundam? Probably not either. What Toku toy do I really want? I don't know if this is asking like a Toku toy that exists and I want, or one that doesn't exist and I would want them to make. So I'll answer both. So for a toy that exists that I don't have that I would want, I'd probably go with the Gear Tozinger and the Dark Gears. I know they're like two separate toys, two separate releases, but like kind of all of that. However, I also just realized probably more than that, I would want the CSM Deno belt, because that's just really cool. It has all the Imagine sounds in it. I mean, that's actually the main thing. I just really love the Deno. Magine are so important to the show, and their quotes are so like iconic to the show and just in general. Having a belt where you can turn into Momotaro's, the belt says Ora Sanjo, while double action is playing, and then you can literally sit there for 30 seconds, and then Kintaros will yell at you, push Momotaro's out, and then initiate a henshin as well. I just think that is a really awesome like toy implementation, especially with Den. For a toy that doesn't exist in SH Figure Arts Zenkai Magine, or actually not even SH Figure Arts, just a civilian Magine figure, posable figure, that would be a Toku toy I want that doesn't exist. Hopefully for now. Hopefully they make one. What would I want in a Kamen Rider, Sentai, and Ultraman crossover? I'd really want them to play with, like, the idea that they're all not kind of similar, but they all kind of play with the idea of, like, ground fights and, like, mecha fights in different ways. So Kamen Rider is usually entirely localized on the ground. Sentai is localized, like, on the ground, and then they move to the big mecha fights, while Ultraman is usually just essentially the big mecha fights, but instead of a big mecha, it's a big man. An Ultraman, if you will. So I kind of want them to, like, to play with that. Like, you could have the Sentai and the Kamen Rider fighting on the ground, while the Ultraman is fighting a big monster, and then maybe the Sentai, like, leaves the Kamen Rider and goes into the mecha, so we have a Sentai mecha and a Sentai Ultra fighting side by side. However, because Ultra and Kamen Rider can also switch, because Kamen Rider recently has had, like, big mechas, so we could have a Rider mecha, a Sentai mecha, and then an Ultraman all fighting big side by side, and then additionally Ultraman can also shrink down. Some of them can, so we can have, like, a ground level Ultraman and then a Kamen Rider and then a Sentai all fighting together. And I don't mean, like, against each other, like, working together. It's much cooler to see them working together. Do I have anyone that inspired me to make YouTube videos? So, like, the main three, I'd say, kind of sort of are, like, it's Toku related. Marcos, Protodubs, and Karn. Karn and Proto don't make Tokusatsu videos anymore. Marcos still does. But those three kind of were, like, the ones that I was watching a lot before I made my channel. So when I made my channel, then I was like, them making videos kind of inspired me to talk about Toku in my own videos. And even Proto's style with, like, the blurred background and images is actually kind of the basis of my original style with the blurred background and images. So, please don't sue. Favorite Godzilla movie and why? So I don't watch Godzilla movies that often. The first one I saw was the American 2014 one. And I've watched the entire MonsterVerse since then. And then I've also seen Shin Godzilla and the original Godzilla. My favorite of those, I'd probably say, is a tie between King of the Monsters and Godzilla versus Kong. I think that's the name of the movie. Because big monster. King of the Monsters is very beautiful to look at. So that's basically the main point for that. And in Godzilla vs. Kong, it's Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't really know what else to explain. It's Monkey versus Lizard. I was Team Godzilla since day one, and he won. What's my favorite Kamen Rider song and my favorite Seiken other than the Haoken Cross Saber? So, favorite Kamen Rider song is definitely Rewrite the Story. And then favorite Seiken other than the Cross Saber, which is a good point brought up because the Cross Saber is my favorite. I love the Sword Driver's functionality with the pull-out sword. Kaiji and Noroshi maybe, because Noroshi just looks really beautiful, and Kaiji has the whole time gimmick and all that stuff. So, I don't know, maybe somewhere with those three, but Cross Saber is easily my favorite, at least. What is my favorite rider bike? Definitely Kamen Rider Laser, because he is a normal man that was turned into a bike. Out of all of Kamen Rider, what's my favorite opening? I actually talked about this in my XA review. It's Excite, because you specifically mentioned opening. I love Excite as a song, but I also love the visuals of Excite, which I go into detail in my XA review, but to make it short, I just think it looks awesome. Favorite gimmick. So this does not specify Rider, Sentai, or Ultraman, so I will give all three. Ultraman, I actually would say the hyper keys from Trigger. I don't have any hyper keys, and I don't really know if I'll ever get a hyper key, but I think they're really nice. They're nice. They're really colorful, and they literally make all the sounds on their own, like without even hacking it. Like they hacking it without pushing any buttons you shouldn't be pushing. They will make all the sounds, and then they'll do all the stuff in the weapons. So that's really cool. For Sentai, I would say the Sentai gears. because, well, first of all, one of them has a pink 29 on it. Their usage in the gear twinger where they spin, and they've got like different teeth, so it reads from its spinning is really great. And then for like all the general versions, and then for the normal gear variants, you know, the picture of the Red Ranger, and then the season number it just looks really nice, and then the back you got the team symbol, and that also looks really nice. So they're just really simple and they're really nice. But favorite overall would be Gashats, as you can see behind me. The shape of them is really unique. I love the contrast with like the black back, and then you got the bright color on the front. The chip part up here that lights up is really fantastic. And then when it's used in the belt, it looks really great, where you got the name here, and then you've got the chip now creating the image of the rider. And then the main thing would be part on the face, or the front part, where you've got this unique game art, just like it's like a real video game cartridge. But it's not, because it's a child's toy. Have I watched Pero Hero Gandine? I think that's the show where Sogo is in a wheelchair, and then he gets a suit in the wheelchair. So I haven't, if I'm correct, I haven't seen it, but I do clearly know about it, and I might watch it at some point. Favorite Vice stamp announced so far? So I'd say the kind of recent one, but kind of not recent one, Bodied Rex. It just looks really cool. I love when you use it in the belt. It opens up, it cracks open, you got a little robot dinosaur. The colors are nice, and the sounds are really cool. The jingle is fine, but like the standby stuff, the body, come on, body, do X. And then in addition to that, the the standby where it goes, buddy, body. That's really fun. What would my ideal Vice stamp be for my red Muteki model? Hold on. If I'm not thinking of it critically, and I'm just picking whatever animal I'd want, I'd go with a bunny. Hello. I mean, with a bunny, you could get, like, the ears can be, like, the dreadlocks. So, you know, I don't know what bunnies have, like, 10 ears, but could work, right? No. Last question is, what made you fall in love with Tokusatsu? I think this was actually a question last year, so I think might as well bring it back for this year, because it's a pretty good question. For me, it's mainly how the genre is about this unique style of action, how it's not like dudes in normal clothing punching the crap out of each other or whatever. It's people in suits. One's a monster, one's a person in like a really cool looking suit. Maybe they've got a helmet, maybe they've got like a full suit with like epic designs on it, and they're like fighting in like this unique style with a sword or a gun or whatever. So it's more of how we've got that unique style built into the genre, so it's just interesting to look at. And then with that easily out of the way, you can develop like a mature story or just a fun story or an interesting story. You're free to do whatever story you want, really, but then you have this unifying, unique, beautiful visual style that makes it so distinct from like normal action shows, movies, or whatever. So with that, we've reached the end of this video, but the beginning of 2022. If you enjoyed this video, consider becoming a patron. You get like an hour of just me sitting here answering the questions, and it's only $2. But if you don't want to do that, that's completely fine. Just please consider hitting the subscribe button so you can stay tuned for all of my upcoming videos this year. I've got a lot planned, a lot I want to try to get done. So be sure to not miss it, and I hope to see you next game.